week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Unearth the secret to long-lasting tires at Tread's Central Tire Pros, a league apart in commitment, service, and expertise. This isn't just about rubber meeting the road, but trust, safety, and surety converging in perfect harmony. This is where expectations are exceeded every time. Make your appointment today at Tread's Central Tire Pros, just south of Cortland on Highway 77, or visit our website to explore our services. Remember, when it comes to tires, choose Tread Central Tire Pros because we tread differently.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is the Don't Punt Hour with former Nebraska receiver.
Throwing over the middle, completes the pass. He's got speed to the end zone. Touchdown. 45 yards.
And return specialist.
This time he beats the kicker in one more.
DeMornay Pierson-El.
Not only does the sideline have confidence in Pierson-El, but Pierson-El has confidence in Pierson-El.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in. Don't Punt Hour. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. As always, you guys can join in 402-464-5685. We do got Royals on the brick and mortar, so we are streaming only. Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo, channel 961. If you got Allo cable, all great ways to put a face to the voice. We got DeMornay Pierson-El, the host as always, joining via stream. DeMornay, how's it going on a pretty okay Tuesday? I'll put it at that.
It's not too bad, taking it one day at a time.
Yeah, no, we'll see about the weather. I think the weather maybe supposed to get pretty bad tonight. Potential some pretty strong thunderstorms. So I guess if you're driving, be safe. I haven't heard too much on that though, other than maybe some slight possibilities of hail. So if you got a garage, probably park under that. But nonetheless, and as always, we're not here to talk about the weather. Nebraska basketball did it this morning. They won another game. They did it in March. It was not March Madness. It was not the NIT. But it was postseason, and it was in a tournament round, college basketball crown. They went and beat Arizona State 86-78. And we'll go through some of the basic stats. It was, once again, unfortunately, it was the thing that we get pissed at probably the most. Not a complete game from Nebraska. Great finish, great second half. But that first half, once again, it's like slow, ugly. They just cannot figure out a way to put a full game together. But, as always, well, I shouldn't say as always, eventually in that game, though, they figured out a way to catch their composure. And again, in that first half, they only scored 30 points. They enter the half being
Bryce
down
alone. I mean, he had 30 for the game.
Yeah, Bryce was a monster. And we'll talk about that as well. It's just like we're so spoiled where you just expect it from him. But what are your thoughts just on Nebraska winning the game?
I'm not gonna be negative. A win is a win, a hard fought win. That they handle business regardless if only 3 people got to double digits, which is crazy. I mean, again, that's terrible.
Look at the box score, DeMornay. What did we say?
You said over 75.
But also for the players, right? Juwan
Gary,
Bryce Williams,
I was about to say Juwan Gary. So you said over or under 18.
Yeah.
So he hit exactly 18. So were we right? Or were you right? Was I right? Were we both right? Who's wrong in that situation?
We all shake hands and walk away. That's what you call it. Good old push. Morning Pierson-El. Nobody loses. The real correct way to do it is what. That's why when you set those, you go 18.5. I was just an idiot that said 18 flat, which allows for the possibility of a push. So, but nobody lost any bets there.
Yeah, I mean, Connor, he stepped up. He had 17, which isn't bad. Consistently, hopefully, he can at least get that for this tournament. But I mean, for the rest of the team, I mean, the closest next to double digits that you have is Hoiberg at 7 points. That's pitiful. Even for that type of tournament, like I understand what certain things is, and I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm just being real because it's gonna require more once you know better teams and once you start to play better teams, and even going into next year with certain stuff and whatnot. You can't be at a Division I level and only have 5-6 points. Being a Division I athlete, that's I expect a little bit more.
Yeah, and I with the points, like it's not even the point totals that bother me so much. We'll talk about some of the areas where Nebraska still just kind of looks weak there, but let's stick to some of the positives. The Cale Jacobson game. I know he didn't score a whole lot of points, but he came in there, really played that entire second half, and he was part of that lineup that allowed Nebraska to get to the lead there. You sit down your bigs, you play small ball lineup. I think that you probably one of the first things you might notice, you see Burkhaber, Joe only 19 minutes in this one. And it wasn't foul trouble, it just wasn't his night. 2 for 7. But again, Cale Jacobson comes in there in that second half. He only took 1 shot, but he was 1 for 1. But 5 assists in 22 minutes of play. Just doing all the things that not all of it's going to show up on stats, but it's just a good glue guy.
Again, creating energy, creating, momentum of stuff. And sometimes that's kind of like what you need.
Yeah, and I think that's really all he was doing out there was being that connective piece.
Extra effort, just doing his job and contributing.
Yeah, so it was a good game for him. Austin Norman was saying this last night. It feels like every team you play in the Big Ten, whether it's Illinois, Minnesota, they have that guy, that local state kid on their team that wasn't highly recruited, that becomes a huge pain in your butt by the time he's done, graduated out of that university. I'm not saying that's what Cale Jacobson is going to be, but this was a good game for him. I mean, this could be a real wake up. And again, this is the beauty of if you have the opportunity to play in some postseason play. I know we're losing a lot of senior leadership, but you're getting a good run on guys like Cale Jacobson, who, you know what, he might carve himself out a role on this next year, or at least open up that window for him to be a serious role player. And same thing with a guy like Connor Season. Obviously, if he sticks with Nebraska, he's going to have a role next year. But I think he's still in that conversation of is he a bench player or do you start him night in, night out? Because he's great off the bench. And nights like where he's 7 of 9, it seems like everything's going. But there's been games where we start him as well. And we've seen it when he's 0 for 7. It becomes very hard for him to find ways to contribute to the game. What's impressed you so far? Just in this first game alone, and some of the guys, I know Cale Jacobson for me was kind of the bright spot.
I mean, it's kind of been their MO, even if starting slow or whatnot. You could say majority of the time they always finish games. They always, piece it together. Hasn't been too many games or, where you that's a bad game or, a blown out loss. With time, they should have been well rested. They should have been, a better showing. And I think, we're a slow team at sometimes. And when we start fast, it makes things, better. But I mean, that's just what it is. Sometimes, it takes the team a little bit to get going. But the second half, they started out, they find their groove, and they found a way to pull off a big win that they needed.
Yeah, and I thought Arizona State looked like a pretty good team.
Yeah.
I understand the record's not great, and you could certainly say, they looked worse than Duke or Houston or Auburn or Florida, any of the teams still left in March.
A lot of teams look terrible compared to some of those top teams.
Yeah, just about everybody. And that's why those guys are the only ones left. That's why they were all one season ahead into it. But that was a good win, for Nebraska to beat a non-conference opponent, get some of that swagger back. And again,
one game closer to 20, we can still get it.
Hey, you know what? It's nobody talks about how you got to 20. They just talk about the 20.
If you get to 20, two games, it's right there.
And honestly, I'm a Fred Hoiberg defender, but any wins that you can steal
a win is a win.
A lot for just his overall coaching record. He's still got a ways to go to get to 500. It's just he's had the rough years here at Nebraska. Not all his fault. A lot of it when he first got here at the door, but that record it's got a ways to go before it's anywhere near 500 is his tenure here at Nebraska. But yeah, you're right. They can get to 20 because they're at 18 right now. Two more wins. You're at 20.
Two years, regardless of 20-win seasons. I mean, regardless of how you look at it, we win in 20 games a year. So you'll take it. It's a bargaining chip.
Yeah, it is crazy. Like you might scamper away with this tournament stealing 20, and I think people all of a sudden remember the season a lot more fondly. Yeah, I'm not because you see 20 wins, and you do think about it. Like they had to have been pretty good. I mean, they won a lot of games. You're gonna see some of those losing streaks and scratch your head, but you're also gonna see oh yeah, I forgot they had this guy named Bryce Williams who just
went
on
nuts.
night out is gonna drop 25 for you, and that was the thing that stuck out to me when I was talking to Austin Orman was how spoiled we are with how good that guy is. It took us 45 minutes into the postgame show before we even brought up Bryce Williams with 30 points. We're just that used to it. We're just oh yeah, the Bryce Williams, as you know, as everyone expected, he scored 30 points, shot damn near. I think he did shoot 50%. 50%, 8 for 16, exactly 50%, 4 for 10 from a 3-point line, by the way. And
4 rebounds, 2 assists.
Yeah. And the free throws, that's a shaky night from him on the charity stripe, just missing the 3. Thoughts on Bryce Williams? I mean, he's just continuing to do the thing that we've come to expect.
Again, he's adding more money into the bank for his draft stock and whatnot, and the way that the league, looks at taller guys that can play, that positionless type ball and everything like that. He can be very appealing to some of these scouts out here. Again, with a good draft combine and summer league and everything like that, people are definitely taking notice and definitely watching him. I think a lot of scouts can't wait to kind of evaluate him outside of a team aspect. And I mean, he's been doing it individually, but I mean, still just to kind of get around him, get him in the building, put him through a workout, kind of actually see how he is and kind of get him going. I think, he's going to have a lot of people, looking at him and let's take a longer look at this guy now.
Yeah. And I think that's the coolest thing you're seeing with him is he had some comments right after that, Iowa. I don't know why I was blanking. It was Iowa. That one I obviously remember all too well. But after that Iowa game, he was one of the guys that was pretty open about we're going to keep playing basketball. Any postseason play, we'll take it. Not word for word, but eventually that was kind of the message you were getting. And it's good to see a guy who's going to talk the talk, show up and play. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was awesome. He's everything he said after that game versus Iowa, you have to think he meant it because, again, he just showed up. He was given 100%. It looked like he wasn't holding back at all. And to your point, his stock just keeps looking better. I mean, the guy has the build already that is always going to help you out. But that wingspan that he has, certainly on the plus side, I couldn't tell you exactly how much of a plus wingspan it is, but you can see it when he's playing defense, that wingspan, especially when they're in a good groove defensively. He's gotten a fair share of steals just by picking off people's lazy passes, trying to skip it over the top. He's just a little bit deceiving there on A, how quick he can get to that spot, and B, again, his wingspan. He'll take some passes away that you don't expect. And then just the consistency of shooting. I mean, his 3-point shooting to me has been the biggest surprise. I'd have to look at what it is on the year. And while I do that, Marty Pierson-El, what to you, Bryce Williams, what's his NBA comp? If you had to give one, an NBA player you would compare him, because he's going to have a real run at the NBA if he stays healthy.
Hmm. And when I say this, like, I'm not saying what he became after he was with the team, but just his style of playing, two ways, very energetic. Can get a bucket. He's a tough basket. I think in college he was a better dribbler with the ball in his hands. But honestly, like, I can see Kawhi Leonard at San Diego. Like, and I'm not saying Kawhi once he got to the league and all of that, but if you go back and look at Kawhi when he was I think San Diego State, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and just watch him play, his mannerisms, the things that he was doing for that team and everything like that, he was a little bit more heavier with the ball in his hand, bringing up the court and stuff like that. But he was an excellent defender. He can get a bucket whenever you need it. He can shoot outside. He can shoot inside. You knew the offense was going through him, and you couldn't stop him. So, and like I said, when I say Kawhi, I don't want people to just think of Kawhi when he's with the Raptors. Kawhi when he was with his or kind of his earlier years with San Antonio. That Kawhi coming out of college, I think is very, very identical. I like the mannerisms. I like how he plays. I like what he brings to a team. His hustle. He doesn't necessarily say much. He's not very an emotional type guy. It's just even kill with Kawhi. You know what you're going to get from him consistently, night in and night out, on both sides of the floor.
I like that one because, obviously, like the defensive comparison is going to be the hardest thing. But when Bryce Williams does want to lock up on defense, he's a really good defender. So I wouldn't be surprised, especially when you get to the NBA. Everyone's trying to carve out their role. I think if he saw that's a space where he can really thrive, then I wouldn't be surprised to see him become a pretty good NBA defender if he puts a lot of effort there. I'm going to throw two out there. I'll throw this one out there first because it's going to sound crazy at first. Kyle Kuzma, a smarter Kyle Kuzma.
To me, Kyle Kuzma is soft. So,
well,
I can see it. He's had his runs. He's had his moments. You can kind of say a lesser athletic Aaron Gordon. Just Aaron really doesn't shoot threes kind of like that. Earlier coming out of Arizona, he's not as much as of a high flyer, but that kind of position, I think Bryce can play that type of position in the NBA.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I threw out Kyle Kuzma. It's just kind of the shot selection. Say anything you want about Kyle Kuzma, but he's a 3-level scorer. If he's shooting it well that night, he's going to be taking it from the 3-point line. He's pretty okay for the mid range. He'll go down. He's pretty good at finishing around the rim, and he's got some post moves as well. And Bryce Williams, anytime I see a guard that's got just a little bit of bags down there on the block,
that's why I was saying Kawhi. That's why I was saying Kawhi. Like it's whichever way you want it, he can give it to you. And who's the second person?
Second person, man, why am I blanking on it? I had it in my head. No, you're killing me. It was Brandon Ingram before, but Sean Livingston. That's who it was.
Okay.
Because again, Sean Livingston to me is the ultimate pick your spot. If you let me get to my spot, I'm going to shoot it over you every time, and I'm going to make it. And then he plays really good defense. And Sean Livingston wasn't the best ball handler, but did enough to bring it up the court, not turn it over. And was good when he needed to, because during that Golden State Warriors run, like Steph would go out and he would come in there, and
he would go on a run. He would keep the energy. He was a hustle player, most definitely. I can see it.
Yeah, and he just keeps the offense going. Like he's not your point guard, not your playmaker. For Nebraska, he was this year because more by necessity, but he's good at taking over that role if need be. Just keep that offense. So to me, he's just a really valuable guy to have. Even if he doesn't pan out to be an incredible starter, just a guy who's got enough experience so far in college to carry an offense for as long as he does. And we've mentioned it throughout the year. I mean, he's carrying the offense for.
Would you be too far off if I said Harrison Barnes?
That's a good one. I like that one a lot. Harrison Barnes is really athletic. I don't know if Bryce is that athletic.
Athletic, but like shot selection.
Yeah.
Sir, I could see Harrison. Maybe not necessarily coming out of college, but within his first 4 years in the league.
That's good comp. Harrison Barnes comp. I haven't heard that guy get brought up very much at all anymore.
I mean, he was a dog.
He was really good
in college. I think he was more of a high flyer in college, and then when he got to the league, he had to change his game just a little bit. He was more of an outside scorer, but I mean, he could still, get in the post. He could still drive past you and everything like that. Especially late in his career, when he was with the Warriors, of course, he was more so of an outside scorer. But like I said, he didn't necessarily handle the ball. Even with Kawhi, when Kawhi was with, San Antonio, he wasn't handling the ball a lot. They were giving him the ball in certain positions and kind of let him kind of go. And then he would, assert himself on a defensive end, create a turnover and kind of just go like that. And he didn't necessarily have to. You had Tim Duncan still there. You still had Parker there and a little bit of Ginobili. So he could just kind of go out there and focus on locking down defenders a little bit. And, on the offensive side, when he was in the right position or in, their offense, because it's very schematic, to get your bucket.
Yeah, I can see that one. I like the Bryce Williams comparisons because he has been, I know we've talked about how good he is a lot throughout the year, but like the more the stretch goes on, the more I'm like, man, he might find himself a prominent role in the NBA one day, just if he continues to be that efficient. Because it's one thing to be efficient. It's another thing to be efficient when you are the sole. The sole thing teams are trying to stop is Bryce Williams. And yeah, you can say that's true for a guy like Cooper Flack on Duke. You can say, a guy like Tanji over Wisconsin. But the difference with those teams is there's other. It sounds terrible when I say it. There's other guys on that team that are very lethal. You can't quite give that much respect. And Bryce has been getting swarmed all year, and he's just
what team? I think for him it's going to be the right team that fits kind of what he wants to do. Now, what team would you say would fit him the best or be beneficial to him?
This sucks. Only because the players, I think it'd be. I don't want to send him to that franchise. I'd love to say Charlotte, just because the cast of players they have, but. I mean, it never works in Charlotte. I've seen so many careers pissed away over there. We talked about that with Kemba Walker and how I think LaMelo Ball's on that same track of being an amazing player with no accolades behind it outside of NBA All-Star.
What about the Rockets? They're a young team.
If you can break that starting lineup.
Listen, and I say this because they're a young team. They're all athletic. I feel like, the teams will start to kind of go after that Boston and OKC mode. He fits in. He doesn't necessarily have to dribble the ball. He doesn't have to have the ball in his hands, but he's an athletic, bigger guy. You got the coach down there who developed, young guys in Boston that got you a championship. So if you consistently put pieces in there, mismatches at certain ends, of course you'll have, bigger guys that can come up there and kind of, be your rim protectors and everything like that. But I think, that type of scheme, that type of offense would fit his playing style, a lot better.
I like
and not just because, they're a top team. I'm just looking at, what that coach did in Boston, what he's doing in 1 year with the Rockets, or is 1 year or 2 years. I think it's his first year with the Rockets or second year. I can't remember.
Second year now.
Second year. But I mean, the pieces that they had, the pieces that they went and got at and everything like that, I feel like that would be a good situation for him to be thrust into.
I like it. The only problems with teams like that is they're so young and they got more picks on the way. Like they're not going to give a ton of time on you the same way you go to a team like Charlotte, who's got, some young guys, but it's got a lot of older guys on cheap contracts. Like they're looking to invest in that young group. The Rockets, like they kind of got their guys. And if you're not good enough to make the cut, they won't spend too much time on you. That being said, I think Bryce Williams is good enough that he could probably make an impression. I think really about any of these teams if he has a good showing.
I mean, if he's a bigger guy that can score, more efficient, and a two-way player down there, you give yourself, a better shot because they're a run and gun team. They're He's implementing what they were doing in Boston. If you go back and look at earlier years of Boston, they have their two guys. So they got, their JT, they got their Jaylen Brown, and then they just been adding, pieces to that. So I think his athleticism and what he brings to the table can actually, keep him afloat more so than you just being a shot blocker here and there. Even if that's, coming off the bench or a two-way player, whatever it is, the athleticism size of him being a scorer and a good defender, to where if they, they go a smaller ball but more athletic to run, he can fit in with that.
And one text here from old dad. I love this one for obvious reasons. Denver.
I can see Denver. Denver would be good.
You can put a rock next to Jokic, and you're going to figure out how to play ball with that guy. You'll find a way. You'll have 10 points on the night. Like I could score in an NBA game if Jokic finds a way to deliver the pass. That's the only way it's going to happen, though. He's going to have to do something where I'm so wide open that I got about 10 seconds to get it off. But yeah, I think you can put him with Denver. You get around those great playmakers. Even a guy like LeBron James. With LeBron, you just have to be able to hit threes. If you're able to hit threes and move around the perimeter, you'll get some good looks. If you're a ball dominant player, probably not so great to play with a guy like LeBron James. Same thing with Jokic. Like if you're very ball dominant, might be tougher to play with him. But yeah, I think Bryce's game he's again 3-level scorer. He's got a little bit of everything going on. So I think the biggest thing for him is when these scouts are talking to him, when he's looking at that NBA, draft board, what does he need to do, or what are they telling him that's most important? Because he's, like I said, he's pretty solid just about in every category. And before we go to break here, I will give you just his stats. So this year, ironically, was actually his worst 3-point shooting year, but it was still pretty good. 36% from three. Throughout his entire career, he's averaging just short of 40%, 38% career shooting through college. And then his points really took off this year, obviously averaging, if I can pull it up here, I got to fix my eyes. They don't have the points per game, just the total. All right, here we go. 20.3 points per game on the year, 4.1 rebounds, and 2.8 assists. The assists are a little bit lower than I thought, but at the same time, his assist numbers were higher last year. It was just kind of a lack of offense. We weren't necessarily hitting a lot of shots when they were great passes coming from Bryce Williams. So with that being said, we'll throw it to break here. We'll talk some Husker football on the other side. We did get quotes from John Butler at the press conference today about that Husker defense, so don't go anywhere. We'll keep rolling. Don't Punt Hour with the Morning Pierson-El.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
LES wants your feedback. Help shape your electric utilities direction and priorities by taking an anonymous online survey. Make your voice heard before the survey closes on April 30th at les.com/survey.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Spring is here. It's time to get back outside and into proper shoes this year. Brown's Shoe Fit is the place to buy this spring with their sale on athletic shoes. Get $15 off any regular priced athletic shoes with respected brands like Hoka, Brooks, New Balance, and On Running. And don't forget, Brown's carries a large arrangement of sizes and widths to fit your feet properly. Start your spring off right at Brown's Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln. Spring is the time of new beginnings and trying new things. If you haven't tried Führer's cheese spread yet, the time is now. For parties for St. Patrick's Day and Easter or celebrating the NCAA tournament with friends, there's no better dip to bring everyone together and celebrate something from Nebraska. Get to your local grocery store today and load up on Führer's cheese spread. No event or party is complete without it on your table.
John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
Your new Total Wine in Lincoln has the largest selection of wines, spirits, and beers, plus totally low prices and friendly service from our helpful guides. With over 8,000 wines, 4,500 spirits, and 2,500 beers, you're sure to find your favorites and something new. You can even order delivery, in-store, or curbside pickup. Find what you love what you find. Only at Total Wine and More. Now open in Lincoln next to Gateway Mall.
Drink responsibly, B21.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion, for happier, healthier, furry friends.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, DeMornay Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back in segment number two on the Don't Punt Hour. Still within the first hour and the only hour of the show here. You guys can join in 402-464-5685. As always, that is the Starter Heyman text line. And we're going to switch things up a little bit here. We're going to talk some Husker football as we got done talking about the Nebraska basketball win over Arizona State last night in the college basketball crown in the first round. They actually will play Georgetown tomorrow, Wednesday. I believe that's 7:30 Central Time. And on the other side, they will play either Boise State or Butler out of those two, if they happen to go ahead and beat Georgetown, first of all. But good morning, Pierson-El. We did get to hear from John Butler. We will play some quotes. But very first off, what are you kind of hoping to hear from John Butler this early on in spring?
This early on in spring, I would hope to hear that he's seeing with as few practices that has been out there, he's seen multiple players make flashes, jump out on the screen. You just don't want, there's just one guy here or one guy here. Hopefully a lot of people are making good impressions. Hopefully that even with a little bit of time, guys are communicating well and effectively from the defense. You see people emerging in leadership roles, or you see people emerging, that can fulfill, a too deep type of spot. You get a better understanding of what you have in a room, and guys have taken another step from what you've seen last year, from guys that weren't playing as much, from what you've seen that guys were playing, that they took, another step and just, look comfortable, confident, and, making plays.
Yeah, I agree. To me, honestly, it's like, I just want to hear confidence and that you're basically ready for the role. I'm not a guy who's coached at those high levels, so I'm not going to nitpick on, I want to hear these drills. Like, that's crazy to say this early on. I just want to see a guy with confidence who looks like he's got a plan. And more interestingly, we talked about it yesterday. how's the communication going to look like between you and everybody else? Like, how is this going to be a smooth process? I think we've all had jobs where, yes, it's good to have help, but you get to a point, especially if you're managing it, where you have too much help, and then you're looking at a bunch of people standing around taking up space and not really doing anything to help your productivity, if anything, making it worse. So we do have a little bit of that. Here is Butler on how it has been working with someone on the staff like Phil Snow.
I actually have when I was with the Texans. Romeo Crennel was our defensive coordinator, and obviously an incredibly successful defensive coordinator in the NFL, and was our coordinator for a couple of years. And then he got moved to a senior defensive assistant role. And I think that you're a fool if you don't embrace that knowledge and that experience, whether it was him when we were with the Texans, or obviously here now with Coach Snow. We all understand we're all focused on one thing, and that's to make Nebraska's defense and the black shirts as best as possible. So there's no egos in that room. It's all about getting better and improving.
So you have it. There's kind of his outlook on working with Phil Snow, basically saying I'd be a fool not to take in his insight, and he's pretty used to something similar like that down there over at the Texans. What are you expecting this relationship with Phil Snow and Butler to kind of work out here? I'm not talking the drama side of things, just X's and O's.
No, Snow was with who else as well? Was he with Belichick and
I think he was with Belichick as well. I'll go through his coaching record, but I want to say he was.
This is the GM type appointed guy, correct?
Stewart was the guy with Bill Belichick, who was the GM. Bill Snow has been with Matt Rule, I want to say, just about every stop.
He's the I had him confused.
Yeah, he's going to be helping out with that. He's not the defensive coordinator, but I think he's going to have a heavy eye on that defense.
Again, I mean, when you have a goal to be successful and to make strides, and people from within who's been in there a little bit longer or understands things to give you a different perspective, I think as well. He's coached a lot. He's been around a lot. He's been successful a lot. So you can always learn and pick up something, So the fact that he's checking, his ego and everything like that, and openly, being successful to things and whatnot. And, I'm pretty sure that the other guy is not stepping on his toes and, letting him do his job. As coworkers, you can have checks and balances of things or whatnot. You can listen to a lot of stuff, because at the end of the day, it's all one family. It's all, everybody has the one, one mind. And, we've had a lot of people, players, coaches, leave. So everybody's going to have to step up. And that's good early on, that people recognize that and understand that from the top up to, we're all in this together to move forward to set a standard.
Yeah. And he's got a lot of experience as well, looking at Phil Snow in particular. And again, about Butler just being open. Guy's been coaching for a while, so probably not bad to take his advice. Early career, coached high school, alma mater, Winters High, all the way back in 77, 78. Then he was Boise State all the way up until 86. Last 4 seasons, he was the defensive coordinator. Then he was at California, was the secondaries coach for another 5 seasons. Then he went on to Arizona State, UCLA, spent 2 years in Washington, University of Washington. And then he moves to the NFL, Detroit Lions, and couple years up there as a defensive assistant, then to Eastern Michigan as defensive coordinator. And now we're caught up to the Matt Rule era. Now he's with Temple, Matt Rule, defensive coordinator, and 2014, 2015, 2016. Yeah, then he joins Baylor, Matt Rule, Carolina Panthers, Matt Rule, Nebraska, Matt Rule. So his last 4 stops have been with Matt Rule, but up until that point, he had plenty of experience before. It wasn't with Matt Rule, it was going to be with somebody else, I think, based on the experience he has. But just, again, another really good coach to have in there with a ton of experience behind his belt, who John Butler, as he kind of stayed there, open to the insight. Here's Butler again on how playmaking is going so far in the early practices.
Yeah, I would say it's like everything. It's a work in progress, but it's something that, we want to measure it and then reward it. So we're doing a good job. Our staff is doing a good job of making sure that, when the player does make the play, he's given an attaboy for that. But then when he doesn't, we want to coach him how to make the play and put himself in a better position. Because at the end of the day, when these games, all these close games and high-level football, whether you're in the NFL or in a big-time college football, they're going to come down to the last possession of the game. You've got to train yourself to win in those moments. So, every single day, every time we meet with them, every time we practice them, we're trying to harp on that as well as the other two things. Yes. Yeah. When you say measure it, you're actually charting whether or not they won their rep in coverage, whether or not they affected the ball, whether or not they made the play. And then it's sent to them so they see it and they understand that we are measuring it, and then we're rewarding it, because the more plays you make, the more you make your way up the depth chart. So
that part always kind of cracks me up in that question. Part where he asks, so you guys using charts, or it's like, yeah,
it's a spreadsheet.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just said. But no, it's you get that. So talking about the playmaking, and you certainly saw that last year a few times. The one that probably hurts the most is that USC game.
Oh, I was just about to say that. As soon as you said that, I'm like, yeah, that's the first one that pops out.
I mean, they couldn't have asked for like the ball literally right through the hands. That could have been a big time interception. And there was a couple of those. There's one that bounced right off the chest, another one right through the hands, as well as missed tackles in that game. And I think when people think playmaking, it's the big time plays, the interceptions. Yes, it's also, can you get a tackle? You know, even if you just hold them to a 5-yard carry, that's a hell of a lot better than whiffing and it becomes a 25-yard carry. Just staying consistent enough and making the simple plays. And, you know, I think that's really all it comes down to. You make the simple plays, you'll be on the right side of things. It'll get marked in the chart, and you'll move your way up the play, or up the depth chart, if you will. Just thoughts on that, Butler, kind of breaking it down on the playmaking.
You know, clearly kids are around the ball or in the right spot. Again, it's still early. People are still thinking. It's not 100% clicking for just the instincts to take over. So for him to say that this early and whatnot, you know, it's not bad, you know, but, you know, they're expecting more. But I mean, as he said, you know, they are right there and there. It's just, you know, understanding see ball, get ball, understanding where you're supposed to be at, if it's zone, if it's man, coverage and everything like that, and just, you know, be a little bit more aggressive. So still a work in progress, not anything bad, but kind of where things are at, you know, within the first few weeks of spring ball.
Did you ever play on the defensive side of the ball? The morning
No.
Pierson-El?
In high school, yes.
What'd you play in high school?
Safety, free safety.
Okay, that makes sense. At that point, you're just I think I actually remember. I think DP had a story where
it
was more so on the offensive side of the ball. They really hated your guts in that.
Oh yeah. The defensive side, they would teams either would try and tire me out or run, you know, kind of straight at me. Throwing wise, they would throw it the opposite way. Just about any time it got near, it's going the other way.
That sounds about right, based on what I heard. That's
not all state. I want to say 3 or 4 years in high school. First team all state. I mean, I really could have went the other way if I wanted to. I just didn't want to play defense.
Fair enough. And to your point, if you were on defense, they'd just be using that time to try to figure out ways to probably slow you down. Yeah, it's always, I think DP, to paraphrase basically what he was saying, is those meetings weren't fun. You know, you all get in the room and it's like, all right, how do we stop this guy? And how do we get the guys to believe in something that we don't even fully believe in ourselves about how we can stop this man named Demorne Pierson-El? But that's the beauty of high school. You're going to, every now and then, the high school is going to have one of those freak generational athletes that's going to go play D1 or possibly even pro sports. And you got to deal with it. And you're just a local kid. But that's not where we're going to go. We're just going to go ahead and skip over the break. We don't got a ton of time here left anyways. And like I said, streaming only with the Royals on the brick and mortar. We'll hear a little bit more on Butler. We've talked a lot, kind of broad picture about some of the faces. We're going to need some more guys to step up on this defense. Sierra Wright's kind of a name that we know, but here's Butler on what the rest of that room is looking like.
Yeah, I would say, you know, Sierra's a returner, but he's competing for his job every single day. I think all the players that we have over there, really don't want to get into naming names. I know everybody's interested in what maybe the depth chart looks like and who's practicing, but I feel like we got really good competition. Really at all positions in the secondary. I think that area has improved, not only with another year of experience for the players that are returning, but also from some of the guys that we've added. I've been encouraged with those guys, and some of those players in that room have really grown in the finishing aspect, taking the ball away and making plays on the ball. So I'm excited about how that's going to shake out, but there's still plenty of time to determine really who's going to be out there anywhere.
So I know it's early, it's all preseason stuff.
Come on, that's the coaching political talk. Stop it. you bench / Tommy Hill got hurt, and you put a young guy in there and step up. At the end of the day, his spot is probably solidified. Like, yeah, you want to see certain things and everything like that, but that's one player you're not worried or concerned about at all. I don't want to hear it. That's him, being modest, keeping playing. Yeah, I'm not falling for that at all. And he wearing 15. He good.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's coach speak at its finest.
For sure.
Not giving names, just like everything is going in the right direction was essentially the answer for that one on how the secondary is going. Again, I think, obviously with Sear, right, you're going to be dumbfounded if he's not out there, unless, there's legitimate reasons and we find out through, the Lincoln Journal-Star and something that hopefully we don't ever have to find out about. But yeah, I just think when it comes to defense, the secondary, is that fair to say that defensive line or secondary, those two biggest areas of concern for the defense?
I would say D-line for sure. Secondary, there's experience out there. I'm not as concerned. I'm interested to see who takes over that Isaac role. He was sideline to sideline for sure tackler, so that's interesting. I have some questions, but I'm quite concerned for the D line. The secondary, it's I'm intrigued. Like I feel better. I feel okay about it until something shows me different. The D line, I'm nervous.
Yeah, one thing that makes me feel better. I know I say it too much, and I'll shut up about it once we get closer to the actual season. But they got Terry Braden there. I just think that is going to be a slam dunk hire. So that gives me some confidence. You got to see development. Obviously, the biggest part for the defensive line is we just won't know a lot, really, until we get to Saturday, because a lot of the guys on that line that are going to have to step up. We know Winari, as long as he, does everything he needs to and be consistent on that team and show up every day. Physicality wise, I mean, the guy, he looks massive out there compared to the other D1 football players. So I'd imagine he should be a good player for us. But we've also seen that with other guys with a lot of stars come here and not necessarily pan out. But it's one of the guys that we don't know a ton about, that we've seen him in a few snaps filling in from time to time, that we just got to see if they can develop, if they've actually developed in the offseason and they can plug and play. I mean, I think the question is, is there any chance this defensive line can be better? And if not, can we prevent a fall off and maintain?
That's a loaded question. Especially with the people that were on the D line last year, and kind of what they contributed and who they were to Nebraska and the community and everything like that. That's not easy to follow up, and that's just not something, that, oh yeah, you're going to be, are there bright spots? Yes, absolutely. Are there spots where I have questions and I kind of want to see how things go? Yes, absolutely. But being better, I think it's too early to tell and say right now, especially with what's left, especially with who's coming in and kind of stepping up and everything like that. I feel confident. I feel, at least somewhat close to it. Do they have the potential to, outgrow that? Yes, I think so. But right now to say better, I mean, some guys we haven't even seen them play on Saturdays in a Nebraska uniform, and you got young guys coming in with a different coach. So there's a lot of different variables that you have to add into that. Let them get through spring ball. Let them get through fall camp and see how they feel comfortable, see how they, take steps and everything like that. Within about 2 or 3 games, I can probably feel better about answering that question. But as of right now, I don't know, because they're young guys or people that did transferred in, and yeah, you went to another spot, and yeah, you were this X, Y, and Z, but I just don't know how it's going to fit here or how you're going to adjust to coaching change or, things like that. So it's just too early to tell right now.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna, as I said before, like there's no tape on a lot of what we're gonna see, so you just gotta hope. And also, they got gel. There's a team chemistry that I think is, in today's college football era, I don't know how, as a coach, I don't know how you have to build that team chemistry, because the morning, like, obviously it's been a while for you, not to age you out here, but when you were in spring practice, like, how fast does that time period feel?
It goes fast. I mean, a freshman coming in, or a sophomore coming in, experiencing some things, like you have an understanding, especially going through a coaching change. I've been there through that. Offensive coordinator coming in, changing something different and everything like that. Dana actually getting out there and full pledge of teaching things, walkthrough, meeting, every little thing of how it was done before is completely changed. So it's a learning process of both sides. Kids have to get adjusted to him, maybe coaching harder, maybe demanding more. I'm not saying Satterfield wasn't. Satterfield might have been a little bit more relaxed, with stuff and everything like that. You got a new wide receiver coach in there. You got a new tight end coach. That's your offensive coordinator. So there's a lot of different moving pieces. They're going to coach you hard right now. It's not going to be easy. You're still in school with stuff right now. When fall camps comes, now we kind of know the expectation. We expect certain things. I know what they're looking for. I remember, these schemes. I remember, these offensive plays. I'm comfortable with X, Y, and Z. I don't, have to go too far into this. It's just a learning curve for the players learning the coaches and the coaches learning the player. Them getting adjusted to what's expected, what's the standard on the field. Getting into a routine to be an athlete, to be the best athlete. Recovery-wise, mental-wise, handling school and whatnot. So it's just a learning piece, honestly, the first 3 weeks. Because, every 2 days, a different install, or every day, a different install. So what you learned yesterday or after these meetings and everything like that is not what today's practice is going to be. And I think, a lot of people don't understand. They put in the whole offense within, the first 8 days typically of camp. And then after that, it's just kind of, okay, well, everything's in and we've seen everything. You should know everything. The next 2.5 weeks is just refining that. And then when you get to, fall camp, it's just everything kind of what we did this spring. You already know it. So we shouldn't have to hit certain cues and everything like that because you understand what's expected. You understand the depths. You understand, releases. You understand the windows of throwing, the timing and everything like that. It's just, hitting the ground faster, sooner and everything like that, revamping everything and moving at a faster period. So spring is going to be hard. Fall should be a little bit easier because it's something you've seen before, the expectation.
Well said. Sounds like a lot.
It's what you signed up for. So you know what to expect.
Well, and they're signing up with money, paycheck. I can't imagine
that's a lot better.
How much would have changed for you?
That's way bad. That's a lot better than when I was going.
You just did it because you love the game, and we appreciate you for it.
Appreciate it.
That's the morning Pierson-El, the host as always. That's going to do it for us. Striking up a conversation coming up next. Couple of Husker bowlers. Don't go anywhere. Harrison Arns, the morning Pierson-El. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.